I wonder where your discussion time took you. I wonder if you saw yourself in a situation that fit this diagram. So I'll just enclose now a diagram of this so you can see all the elements at the same time. I had myself some aha moments in regard to my family of origin. You see, I had a father who was really great at blaming. My next brother down is so much like him that they had some really great arguments. And he ended up becoming a persecutor or a villain like his dad. I myself tended to not like the conflict, and I'd go a bit down the victim line, learn to be quiet. I thus learned to be passive-aggressive, something which has taken me years to recognise and overcome. If you're down this line, I'll enclose here a helpful little chart of how victims may act passively. You see, they can just do nothing, stand still, look sullen, sit still, stare blankly. Maybe the victim's passive behaviours you can over-adapt by being anxious to please and be really helpful or adaptable and accommodating. Or passive behaviours can be getting agitated, drumming your fingers, tapping your foot, biting your nails, twiddling your hair, compulsively eating. And these can possibly escalate into a psychosomatic illness or into just deep incapacitation, drug abuse, maybe violence. So that's possibly some way you can go if you're just passive or a victim. My sister became a rescuer, and Dad maintained that she was always bringing home lame ducks. She even carried that on into her career of helping people. Of course, she does a better job than she did then. So I think that your family origin has an enormous impact on which of these roles that you easily fall into. The way parents handle conflict is a deep teaching school for young minds. You see, they're watching, they're learning. So real peacemakers understand that conflict often has dynamics like we see in the drama triangle. Conflict also often has learned habits that feed behaviours, and conflict is fed by ideas that are not healthy, and it's fed by deep desires for power and control in relationships. Let me give you a couple more examples before we do some more discussing. I think when it comes to evangelism, it's critical to understand your own drama tendencies. The classic caricature which people point to in order to justify not coming to church is the persecutor or villain evangelist. You know, they object to preachy people, to blamers, who try to tell them that they're dirty, rotten sinners. And unfortunately, the church's reputation has been very damaged by these types of evangelists who have not looked deeply at their own character. And evangelism has also, I believe, been weakened by people taking up too much of a victim stance and being too timid to speak up for Jesus because no one will listen, I'm no good at speaking to strangers, or I don't have the guts. When we really know Jesus has been speaking through ordinary Christians for 2,000 years. And evangelism has also been damaged by rescuers who either overpromise what Jesus can do for people, or they try to be sin suckers who burn themselves out taking on other people's burdens. Or maybe they just become really full-on mollycoddlers until they run out of steam. What about a normal relationship? Here's an example. We've got Chris and Emma, and they need to sort out a few things. He said he'd fix the bike so they could go riding around the park, but the cycles are still in the hall with flat tyres, and the brakes don't work, and the washing machine's making a funny noise. Should they just buy a new one? A couple of weeks ago, Chris started sleeping in the spare bedroom when Emma got a nasty cold, and she's better now, but they're still sleeping apart. It's nothing big. A short grown-up conversation should sort it all out. We need to talk about a few things, Emma says on Saturday morning, and she fixes a couple of coffees and opens a packet of those chocolate biscuits he likes. Nothing heavy, just a few things. Emma says what they are. Any more things you'd like to put on my list, he snaps. Ah, you are so controlling. Controlling, she begins. But he's already on his feet and he stomps off through the door, leaving her wondering what the heck she said. And then she feels it's all her fault and an inner voice starts telling her, oh, you always screw up like this. And she feels that edge of tear sensation just like she did when she was a kid. And they avoid each other for the rest of the day and the hurt subsides a bit, but it won't go away. And then next morning Emma hears him get up early and turns over and goes back to sleep. And later on he calls out, he's made breakfast. I've done the bikes too, he says. So Emma comes down and there they are, ready to ride again. She knows she should say thank you, but instead other words fly out of her mouth. Oh, I don't want to ride those lousy things any longer. And regrets it obviously instantly. And then as she arrives at work on a Monday, her boss smiles at her and asks if she had a good weekend. Yeah, it was okay, Emma replies, grinning back. But the actual content of the weekend is not something she wants to tell anyone about. So here's time for a pause there, for you to discuss how you think the drama model affects the way you evangelise or relate to others at home or work or play, or maybe just to discuss how you saw that drama triangle working in the story of Emma. Let's pause and discuss.